Toys R Us is in some hot water right now. Um, I'm pretty sure everyone on any form of social media, toy fan or not, has been seeing this in their feeds, Bloomberg report, and everyone is talking about it. It's making some really good headlines of Toys R Us planning for bankruptcy and blah, blah, blah. Um, I just want to establish a few things outside of these clickbait articles because a lot of them make some big claims and people just read the title and then march along.
Yep.
Um, they're not 100% filing for bankruptcy. What they're doing is they're doing what's called Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And what that is essentially is it's them trying to restructure their debt to keep themselves afloat.
Hmm.
So it doesn't mean that they're dead completely. It just means that they're in some real hot water right now and they're trying to fix stuff.
They have
Um,
more debt that they can pay off, basically.
yeah, but when you do Chapter 11, it's essentially you're trying to get a third party to try to fix stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, according to certain numbers that I'm reading, and I checked multiple different articles to make sure all these add up, and it seems that the general consensus, although maybe they're just stealing it from each other, these these writers, but the general consensus is that they're restructuring $4 million in debt that they currently have,
Hmm.
and I find this fascinating because all of this comes literally just before the holiday season rolls in,
Yeah, exactly. They just
which
need
is
to last that long. Like,
yeah,
just need to last past Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, which is in the end of November. They
well,
need to
not to mention
because that's Black Friday
Black
area. Yeah,
Friday
that's what
exactly.
I mean. That's Black Friday area. They need to last till then, and
So,
then
but I
hopefully
find
they'll
that
get more revenue.
fascinating that all of this became public before this,
Mm.
which now like anyone that would have thought about buying from them is probably just going to wait for a clearance sale now or something.
Well, it could be that. It could be like, no, we gotta save Toys R Us. It could go either way. Some people
It's
might be
true,
like, no, I
yeah.
don't
Maybe
wanna.
maybe they might get sympathy,
Yeah.
which is ironic because Toys R Us. I mean, this is what I was reading from other people in the states were saying like the irony in that Toys R Us when it came around, it kind of destroyed the mom and pop toy stores
Hmm.
by being the big box toy store, and
Yeah.
now they're getting the sympathy because they're getting destroyed by the online megaliths of Amazon. Um, but I think that the sympathy for Toys R Us comes from me more so, and it's not even from a nostalgia thing, even though I've always loved Toys R Us as a child. I think more why Toys R Us is important for us, and even more so for Canada. But I mean, for the States too, it's going to affect you in a similar way, just not as bad. But I find that Toys R Us was a major player in competition, meaning that a lot of times when there's other people that you could buy Lego from or Transformers or video games,
Mm.
it makes Walmart, it makes, Amazon have to give you something better. That free shipping you get from Amazon, it was birthed out of them trying to figure out a way for you to shop to them instead of anyone else.
Yep.
Same thing with Walmart. The second you get rid of something like that, that competition becomes lax.
Exactly.
That competition all of a sudden already like the one thing I always find interesting is I constantly keep track of what Transformers go on sale every single week. Like to me, like it's like religion. Tuesday the flyers come in, and I see what's going to be on sale come Thursday, Friday, from any products in general, but also just more specifically Transformers, just to know like hey, now I could get these Titan returns at 30% off, or maybe these Titan returns that I bought a week ago are now 30% off, and I could get my rain check. I always keep track of that stuff. But one thing that I always found fascinating is while Toys R Us was always a regular of that, always regularly, sales in different areas, moving stock. Walmart stands firm.
Yep.
Walmart will always just, this is what we're going to do. And if something goes on sale, we're not going to advertise it. You'll have to be in store in that moment in the liquidation section, and we'll red tag it down to whatever, but it has to be in that moment, and you got to constantly be in our store to see that. Walmart has all the power. They get their products so cheap on a level that will not, like there was there was this documentary, I think it was called like The War on Walmart or something, where they talked about how companies actually have to go into Walmart and sell their product to Walmart for them to even decide to carry them.
Yeah. It's like you got to
And
pitch it to Walmart, basically.
yeah, and what was crazy about it was then they talked about how Walmart uses that power to pretty much bully big companies. Like they would go to Hasbro and go, you know what, we really don't like let's say, they charge 14.99 for a deluxe back then. They'll be like, you know what, we don't like that we have to charge 14.99, and we don't like that we have to pay, let's say they pay $2 per unit, let's say. We don't like that we have to pay $2 per unit. Why don't you make that, cheaper for us? And then Hasbro could do one of two things. They could obviously make it cheaper for them out of fear of not being able to sell in Walmart.
Which is
But then,
a lot of stores. That's a ridiculous amount of stores, Walmart.
well, especially again to remind any American listeners, for Canadians, Walmart is, well, I'll give you the landscape in a moment, and then I'll really give you a better picture afterwards. But they'll essentially have to go, okay, I guess we got to sell them these units at 150 now, and how, Hasbro also being a business, they'll be like, well, now what do we got to do to our toys to make it affordable for us now that we're selling it to Walmart at 150? And cost cutting has to happen. And so all of this, I mean, I was discussing this with Wendell before we started recording. I was saying like the biggest frustration I have is, you could go back as far as Beast Wars and Armada,
Mm.
just before, like, 2003, 2004, before some certain oil problems kind of
Yeah.
started happening and a certain war, which I would not be surprised if it was kind of related to that. But a lot of product had a very strong consistency. You could buy 100 Beast Wars Cheetors, and all 100 of them would be exactly the same in terms of quality control and paint applications. Not today. Today, everything's a crapshoot. Today, you actually, one might be better from the other, and one might have looser joints, and everything's done cheaper now because of that.
Hmm.
As a result, and the only person that suffers truly is the consumer, because, I mean, the truth of the matter is products being made cheaper, but prices have been increasing.
Yeah.
So exponentially increasing. Like it's quite insane. Like I mean, you could argue inflation, but
It's funny because I was just arguing with a friend of mine about that, and I was like, well, oh, why don't they pass on those savings to customers? Like they have never ever done that
they don't care about it.
historically.
Yeah, it's
Like
it's
you could
it,
just go back to everything from before, and you could just see it, like where the price will keep going up, and then the product will be made cheaper, and you're like, well, how come we don't make how come we don't make the prices cheaper for us? It's like, well, the guy over there is his prices increased. He didn't change them. Why don't you go bug him?
well, you know what? Like one guy, I was at a convention, and I remember we were just staring at a guy's like display of figures for sale, and one guy commented to another guy. He's like, "Man, why is everything so damn expensive?" The other guy just said, "Capitalism, my friend." And that really, but that sums it up though, is that it's, I mean, if someone can make money, they'll make money, and if they
Yeah,
need to protect themselves, they'll protect themselves, and anyone could understand that. If you were in the same scenario, you would probably do the same thing. No one passes on the savings to the customer. The customer wants your product regardless. If you could
exactly.
make,
And
if you could,
they'll pay for it.
there's an iPhone that just came out that's that's thousands of dollars,
It's a thousand
and
something.
people are still going to show up and buy it,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So it's, I mean, if they know you'll jump, they'll make you jump. So, but it's just the thing that's really bothersome for me, so more so, and again for Canadians, and this will affect Americans too, but even more so Canadians, is that in the States, the if you want to buy, let's say, Transformer toys, the options that you have are obviously currently Toys R Us. You have Target, you have Walmart, but to lesser extents, you still have Kmart, and then you have a lot of the other ones. You have the Big Lots. You have a lot of there's
Walgreens sometimes
Walgreens.
carries.
There's, yeah. You still got to have a lot of chains that still will carry Transformers in one form or another, even if it's just deluxes. In Canada, you have Toys R Us, Walmart, and then after that, it's almost nothing. It's literally there's this
Yeah,
place called
retail wise,
yeah,
like
yeah, but
brick and
yeah,
mortar store.
yeah, like in terms of like actual stores and chains. After that, you got Winners, which rarely has anything.
Crapshoot.
Winners, Winners is like Marshalls or what's the other one in the states? I'm trying to remember. That's
I
kind
don't
of
think
like
it's TJ
Winners.
Maxx. I don't think that's it.
TJ Maxx is Winners. Yeah, that's it too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's on their little loyalty card. So which again is a crapshoot. That's like they might have like one case of deluxes from a dead wave from 3 months ago,
Yeah.
but so literally if we lose Toys R Us, it's Walmart or nothing. And the problem with Walmart in Canada as opposed to the United States is it's not a big a deal as it is in the United States Walmart. It's not 24/7 in like some in the states, and stuff like Triptychon will never be on shelves at a Walmart. So stuff like Triptychon or big box exclusives, I don't know where we would ever be able to find those locally. With the downfall of Toys R Us, a
Yeah.
lot of those specialty collector based items completely disappear because that is something that I mean to be honest, most Transformer sections in Walmarts in Canada kind of suck. At
Yeah,
least
pretty much.
in my opinion, they kind of suck. I don't know if it's because they don't stock enough and whatever is stocked is depleted very quickly because it's a Walmart and they get way more customers through the door than a Toys R Us. I don't know what it is, but I always felt that Walmart has been kind of crap when it came to Transformer selection. And with Toys R Us disappearing, if that is the case, we are really pigeonholed into almost having to make everything exclusively online. And that's where then I go into something like Amazon, and I'll be honest, I hate Amazon. I mean you could argue about how much we save in a lot of different areas from buying books and stuff, but I've had a lot of negative experiences with Amazon in terms of stuff getting shipped to me. I think they have probably one of the worst quality shipping companies in the world. I've bought stuff from China that has showed up in better quality than they've showed up
In
than
what
from
way? And
Amazon.
what? Give an example, I guess,
Well, give
as
an
to what
example.
what do you mean by shipping quality?
So I've had stuff that was shipped to me on card backs. Now, I'm not a big mint on card collector, but there's some things that I like that if the card shows up properly, I'd like to cut off the bubble and keep the card back because the art's nice or something. I've had figures shipped to me, and because Amazon just wants to ship it as cheap as possible, they'll fold the card back in half and throw it in a padded envelope. They'll put it in a box way too small for it and
Hmm.
then put it in a or and then fold the card back. I've had so many scenarios where figures, now granted the toys themselves never showed up damaged
Hmm.
because they're in their own shipping packaging, which is their packaging itself, which is designed to protect the travel of the figure. But if you're someone who collects packaging also in some cases, or if you're like someone like me, what if I want to have a mint on card hot rod, an extra one, it they rarely show up in, and I'm not talking like little nick here and there or little dog ear. I'm talking about like they just fold the cardboard in half, or they just. I had recently, give an example to go off of Transformers. Um, I ordered the amiibo from the new Metroid game,
Hmm.
and the amiibo is like a 2 pack, and it's a very large bubble and everything. They threw it in a padded envelope and just shipped it to me. And when it arrived, the bubble was just smashed and squished. Now, were the amiibos okay? Yeah. Was I going to open it anyways? Yeah, I was going to open it anyways. But it still, to me, was a testament of how they function. And if I was someone that's like, oh, I wanted to keep this mint on card, which I wasn't, but if I was, I would have been pretty furious.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so while it doesn't affect me currently, I am aware that one day it will because of the way that their structure is right now. So because I have to rely on online from something like Amazon in the future, which will probably be one of the few places online that'll have retail that'll be equal to that of what I would be paying when Toys R Us was around. It's not a good you know comparison. And again, Amazon, I feel that with the downfall of Toys R Us, Amazon will take advantage of that and really rub their hands together and go, ooh, now how could we, now we have a larger share of the Canadian market.
Hmm.
How can we take advantage of this? But again, this is going to affect the United States too. Not as bad as Canada because we have really very little in terms of options, but it will affect you guys too. I think that the only thing that might positively come from this, if Toys R Us does go under, it might be similar to how a couple of years ago Canada lost one of its biggest chains, which was their equivalency of Target at the time, which was Zellers.
Mm.
When we lost Zellers, right away Target took advantage and swooped in and filled up all those Zellers in Canada.
Yeah.
Target didn't work out in Canada.
It was Target and Walmart
Yeah,
kind of joint took.
filling up those empty
Yeah.
locations. These big empty locations are being filled up. Now, why Target didn't work out in Canada is a whole
Other
podcast
story. Yeah,
in
yeah,
it
yeah.
itself. But the point is, it didn't work out, and then Target fled the Great White North, leaving us again with only options of Toys R Us and Walmart. The thing is that now that Toys R Us will be gone, it makes me wonder now all those empty slots, are those now going to be filled up with more Walmarts, or is
Well, when
something is
well
something
when
from the states going to come and fill those voids?
well when Target left, the people that took up those slots were Canadian Tire, I think, if anything.
Well, Canadian Tire, some of them were Walmarts. I know
Like
that. I
which is
know.
pretty interesting. Like Canadian Tire's like, you know what? We This will be a good time to expand. Well, either expand or gain more room. But
Canadian Tire being an auto parts and outdoor kind of
outdoorsy home
Home Depot ish,
renovation
yeah, kind of
ish
store.
kind of place. Sometimes they have toys, but not
Very
often.
rare. Very usually holiday season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that in the case of the states, how this will be beneficial to them is that if Toys R Us does go under, some of the other chains like Kmart or something might find because now one of the big guys are gone, they could find an opportunity to kind of grow. And I mean, I've been to
Well, and I
Kmart's.
know the last time I checked, Kmart was having a little bit of trouble too.
No, they have been, but again, now that one piece of competition is gone, it might give them a chance
Mm,
to flourish. In that environment in the states, there's more options and there's more abilities for other ones to then grow.
right, right, right.
I mean, Canada, I felt like as time progressed, we kept losing one major retailer after another.
Yeah.
We lost consumers distributing, which was a big blow in terms of the of uh, of just getting any kind of product very easily. Although consumers, that was probably their biggest flaw, was getting
Yeah,
product.
exactly.
Then when we lost Zellers, that was a big blow to us. Now if we do lose Toys R Us, it's really gonna put us with, like, honestly, we got Walmart or nothing. It's gonna become that where it's
We're
just
to the
like,
wolves.
yeah, it's literally in Canada it will be a monopoly for people who want to buy toys from a retailer store that isn't obviously a private store or something like that. And the thing is, in my opinion, 99.9% of private stores are always overpriced. Always, like, and you could complain about deluxes being 19.99. I don't want to name names, but a lot of private stores in Montreal, deluxes of those same deluxes are going for like 30, $40.
Yeah, exactly.
So so the
Markup.
yeah, so the only option is really sad because if toys, and again, Walmart's not stupid, they'll be self-aware that in the Canadian market that they have a monopoly, and there'll never be anything on sale. you know,
Pretty
they'll never
much. I could
they'll
see
ne-
that.
there'll never be a sale. Like, what's the point of creating sales to encourage people to buy product when they have nowhere else to go? That was the one good thing that I had with Toys R Us, was sales were they
Well,
were
they
always trying to be competitive. They were always
well,
trying to be like, "Hey, why go buy something here when you could go buy something there?" Or alternatively, going to somewhere with a Toys R Us flyer and price matching,
do
which
you
was
think
always.
Walmart will turn into the new Zellers where they'll just won't sell their old stock? They'll just sit on it.
Well, already I feel that Walmart's kind of crap in Canada anyways.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Walmart, again, like the whole thing where last waves of Transformer toy lines are always the toughest to find
yeah.
was kind of because of Walmart, because
Mm,
Walmart was the ones that are just like, we don't want product of something that has the same title.
Yeah.
Like that's why now like they do what they do with Transformers. They'll do like it'll be Energon, and then like halfway through the Energon line, it'll be Energon Power Link. Or it'll
Mm.
be Cybertron, and then it'll be Cybertron Primus Unleashed halfway through it. They'll
Uh,
try to create a whole new sub-series name to kind of trick the retailers and going, oh no, this is something new, so that they'll get a whole first wave of it. And that's why you always have like a lot of Transformer series is the first wave comes out, and then that first wave lingers forever.
right, right.
Because they're able to trick the retailers into going, oh, this is something new and hot, and they'll
Hmm.
get a case of the first wave, and then they just sit on that forever. They'll, they might get a few cases of the wave two, and then maybe one case of wave one, wave three, and then wave four rolls around. They just go, I'm not interested. Hey, do you got some new line that we could
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
I mean, I mean, anyone who's a Ninja Turtle collector, man, I feel like it's just in purgatory right now.
A friend of mine just texted me that she found the WWF Ninja Turtles
Yes, those
and freaked
just
out
showed
and
up.
bought them.
Yeah, those just showed up in Walmart right now. They've been in the States for a while. And when I mean a
Like I
while,
was
I mean
like,
like
didn't they announce that last year? Like I
yeah.
could have sworn I was sending out tweets about that
Oh yeah.
a year ago.
Ninja Turtle toys are like in literal like if you're a Ninja Turtle fan in Canada, you are just like you've get
Hosed.
you've given up because they've just like the same. Because me, I'm looking. I always check it out because there's this like always specific figures that I'd like to pick up, and they just haven't moved waves in like what
Yeah.
feels like I think 2 years. I don't. I mean that's over.
Well, I
It's an
mean,
over.
it's also bad that like, oh, here's the first wave of toys again, but they have soft heads and we painted in their eyes,
Yeah,
and it's like, ugh.
I know. I mean, I don't want to.
Granted, the first wave of toys are very nice and very articulated and they're amazing, but still, you're just like, ah,
The point is that like again, Toys R Us disappearing will be a if it does happen, if the Chapter 11 thing doesn't work out and they go under, it is going to suck.
yeah,
Like on levels that a lot of people cannot comprehend right now.
exactly.
Like again, capitalism will kick in. The little monopoly man will adjust his monocle, and a whole bunch of stuff that is not going to be beneficial to us as a consumer will go into full effect.
Do not
So,
pass go. Do not collect $200. No free parking.
oh no, it's. I predict honestly, I'll call it now. If Toys R Us goes under, deluxes are going to jump up to $25 a piece.
Ugh.
Like, yeah, it's going to price itself out, man. And
Eh.
exactly, it's just it's going to be insane. And the sad thing is that my theory, which is always like, oh, just wait for product, you could buy it loose cheap later.
Mm.
But if no one's buying it because of how expensive it is,
Yeah, exactly.
then there's no secondary market, and then everything just gets messed up. And then if no one's buying it, then obviously Transformer lines suffer because of low sales, which already toy sales are suffering to begin with.
Hmm.
So it's like, oh boy, it's are we truly seeing the beginning of the digital age? Of
Beginning
like
of the
just
end.
video game. Like again, I don't want to like sound like this big complainer, but it's just a lot of weird things are going to happen because of this. And Toys R Us too. One thing I'll give Toys R Us was they were always very collector oriented. If
Yeah.
you were an adult collector, that was a really good place for you to go. With them going away, that truly also signifies the end of adult collectibles being something for us. And I mean, that's something where it's like, oh God, are you going to have to go to like, you know, GameStop or EB Games to get your pop vinyl fix?
Uh,
Exactly. Or it's like, because that was kind of a thing at Toys R Us was, hey, you want your pop vinyls? Hey, you want your Walking Dead figures or stuff like that, like the more
yeah, yeah. Your
adult based.
memorabilia come here, basically.
Yeah, so it's just now it's going to go to the extremely overpriced, again, more privately owned stuff like GameStop, which again they kind of hose you when it comes to merchandise.
Yep.
So it's going to be it. Let's put it this way: it's this isn't a nostalgia speaking. This isn't like me loving Toys R Us. It's just we're going to lose Canada and the USA are going to lose a lot of advantages that we had previously with Toys R Us, and if you want to see, I mean, it kind of is going to segue into our next topic, but if you're going to
Mm.
want to see like a Scorponok in the future,
Yeah.
um, a Toys R Us would be the shelving space to exist for it to exist on. Walmart doesn't really favor that kind of stuff. They don't really want that kind of shelving space being taken. So,
I would say
uh,
speak for yourself, Proto Man. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
I know.
Don't leave us, Toys R
I'm
Us.
I'm imagining. I swear, I was constantly thinking to myself. I was picturing like the death of Optimus Prime where he's lying on the
Oh God,
operating table.
no!
But
Don't make
it's
that. Do not make that
but
gif, you
but
jerk.
it's Jeffrey Prime,
Oh no!
which is the exclusive
Oh
Japanese.
my
And I'm just
goodness.
imagining like it's Jeffrey Prime turning gray and then
Oh,
turning
that's
it dun
brutal.
dun 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 dun.
You could
Dun.
technically do that. No, they have the Jeffrey Prime toy, and then
I
they
have
have
both of
the
them.
blue. They have a blue one of that. No,
I have both versions. I have the
there's
Legends
a.
and the Scout scale. So but that's why I'm just imagining in my mind just like the death of Jeffrey Prime
Oh
with Vince
man.
DiCola's music in the background. But either way, again, I hope that all of this conversation's for naught and they figure something out. But I mean, when Toys R Us went under in Times Square, I think that was kind of the first signs. I think
Mm.
when that big Toys R Us at FAO Schwartz in Times Square, when that went under, those were the first. And now it's a lingerie store.
But I think most of that stuff in those kind of areas, those high traffic, but like I those stores aren't usually made to make money. They're made as an advertisement, if
Oh yeah,
anything. You're paying
it's
a premium and you're losing money. Like you're not really gaining back. You're not gaining back the profits in those areas. I think there's that, and there's another place in Boston where they have like insane rent and they're not making back that money, obviously. But it's just there to advertise,
well
basically.
there you go. But I'm again after that happened and now this, it's just like and again to announce it before Christmas, it really
Yeah.
it really makes me like go oh boy, hold on to your butts, guys. We're in for a rocky ride, I think. But yeah, sad. I'd like to hear people's comments, especially on this one, because this is an ongoing thing. So I'm really curious what people think about this too.